things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
You know, I'm getting sick and tired of me forgetting to turn myself on. There you go. How are you, folks? That sounded very bad. Not a good way to start off a show on a Friday. I beg your pardons. How are you? Had a good day? Hasn't been a bad day all round here, I must say. Got a bit of work out of the way and some rather interesting things to talk about with you tonight, which we will get onto in the very near future. As I roll back up to the top of where I'm going to eventually start from. Let's go into the comments. First up tonight, who was first in the house? The lovely Sandy from the Donkey Sanctuary was in the house first up. And what a day you've had, my darling. So for those of you that are unaware, Sandy and her other half, Baz, run the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. To wit, the proceeds, or a portion of the proceeds, at least from our lottery, have been going, provided we can never get the ticket sold. So if you live outside Victoria and would like to buy a ticket in our Donkey Sanctuary and Voice of Freedom lottery, where you can win $750, we've got to clean this lottery up. We've got other ones that we can start that'll have a bit of gold and maybe a bit of silver, quite a bit of silver actually. But we've got to get this one out of the way first. So Victorians are banned, unfortunately, but outside of that, everybody else, $2 a ticket at merch.vofhq.com. And Sandy sent me a little note today, a couple of beautiful photos, which I was really, really rapt to receive. And I was thinking, oh, how lovely and how cute and how wonderful is this? And you know, just a beautiful cuddle. But unfortunately, that particular donkey had to be put down this afternoon. So this was sort of its last wander in the paddock, if you like. So I was talking to Baz, Sandy's other half, and it has to be so very difficult. I mean, they're expecting it. A lot of these donkeys come to them sick. They do everything they can, sometimes go over and above to get these animals healthy again. Sometimes it's just not possible. Sometimes they're just old, or they've caught something that you can't fix easy, and they have to be put down. But Baz was saying today comes to, I think, 40, he said, that he's had to put down over time. And it doesn't get any easier with any one of them. And that one was one of Sandy's favorites in particular. I think she says that every time I hear about them having to put one to rest, it comes back, oh, that was one of my favorites. That was. There is only one donkey there that I know isn't her favorite. And while at times she may swear at it and swear about it, I reckon when the time comes, it'll be her favorite too. She'll be angry. Oh, you know, be the angry favorite, but still be a favorite. So God love you, Sandy and Baz and everybody else who helps out at the Donkey Sanctuary. And if you would like to help out at the Donkey Sanctuary too, we would love you to be able to do that. And you can do it as simply as buying a ticket at merch.vofhq.com/lottery, I think it is, or Sanctuaries. Well, just hit the Sanctuary 750 link on the top of that merch page, and that'll take you straight there. Or you can check out some of the new merch. And there is a new word we're going to learn tonight, folks. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It really does help. Like, subscribe, do all those good things. It helps with the algorithm. And give us a shout out in the comments. Tell me where you're from, because I'm increasingly getting some guests from overseas. I'm getting emails from you, but it'd be nice to know where you are so the algorithm knows where you are. So if you're out there, it doesn't matter around the country or around the world, then just say something, say hi. I've got to get to last night's comments. There are quite a few after last night's show, and get through those. So that'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Diesel on Tuesday at the service station was $3.07 $3.17 on Wednesday. Today it was at $3.22. Well, it's coming, folks, and it's been engineered. It's been engineered, but we're going to talk about that. Evening, Judith. Tony, the lovely lady rider is in the house. I haven't mentioned Aussie Sue, but I should. God love you, woman. Is that your sexy new car, Susie, that I see in the driveway of the thing you post? That's a very pleasant-looking little beastie car. Hello, Judith. Lovely to see you. And who else has popped in? Gomez is in the house. Black Sheep is in the house. Black Sheep has sent me photos, and more photos to prove that we should be stocking up. He has been stocking up. He has at least 3 months, I would say, judging by some of the photos. I don't have enough photo space to put all the photos I'm going to show tonight in. And he has got enough food, I am sure, for 3 meals a day for a year at least. God love him. A lot of baked beans in there, so it's helpful that he lives by himself these days. And I guess on the upside of it all, if there is no fuel, Black Sheep has a motorbike. Now, depending, I mean, Tasmania can be a bit limiting, but he does have a tinny and a whole heap of baked beans. I'm just saying, you might be able to get up, perch up the front of the boat, put a sail up, start scooping those baked beans in, get across the strait, and bring the motorbike with you, because then you can basically use the sail off the tinny on the motorbike and propel yourself around Australia on the journey. Got enough baked beans. There is a lot of baked. One day I will just do a show on what is in Black Sheep's pantry. It is quite staggering. God love him. But he's right. You should be stocking up. That doesn't mean go and panic buy right now, petrol or anything else for that matter. But you should always, every time you go to wherever it is that you shop, you should always buy an extra tin. If they're on special, buy 2 and stick them in the cupboard somewhere. Stick them somewhere where, you know, you're not going to immediately use them, obviously. You want to make a little storage for yourself. Now, some people have containers full of the stuff and then forget what they've got in it. That can be easily done. You don't need containers full, but be wise with what you get. So get stuff that is long lasting. Begin with, if you're a milk drinker or you think you're a milk drinker or you're going to need something like milk, then get long life milk or get powdered milk, even better. Bag, buy them by the carton. They are so cheap, and stock up that way. The same can be done with the sauces and all that sort of thing. Go to a Campbell's or a somewhere like that, cash and carry. There's the other mob that starts with C, but they're an American chain. And it'd be interesting to see how much stock they've got on their shelves, because they do get pretty much stock clean out of America, a lot of those ones. Same for, well, you know, the other ones that you would be going to. But my advice, like Black Sheep's, is go and stock up on some food. I have a bit in here, I've got to admit. When I say a bit, I reckon I could last on the tins of food and fruit that I've got in here. I could probably do a good 7 or 8 days, I think. We could get through okay. A lot of fruit. Thank you, Deb Shippard. You are also in the house tonight, and God love you for telling everybody to like and subscribe. It is the way to be going. So, there's some good comments in there tonight. Servo and the diesel is $5 a litre in 2 weeks' time. And Penny, that is quite frightening. I heard some math today which indicate that there will be a correlation between, let's call it, what is coming into Australia versus what is going out of Australia. And I forget now exactly what it was, but say for every ton of fuel that comes off a boat, the price of fuel at the Bowser will go up 10 cents a litre. So that in and of itself could be a little disturbing, I would say. Now, I'm going to show you something here very shortly. I'm just setting it up so I can share it with you. And having said that, let me get down to the bottom here, say hello to a few more people. G'day, Paul. Nice to have you in. Talking about Albo Sleazy. We will give him another bashing at some stage tonight, I'm sure. Pete, our main man from Pinaroo, where fuel yesterday was $3.09 or 10. I'm heading to the bottom of the chat now, Pete, so tell us what it is today if you happen to go into town. You probably didn't, given the way that fuel prices are, and well, you're not that far out of town, but even still. G'day, Addy and Katrina and the lovely Aussie Sue I've said a couple of times now. G'day, Scotty the News. Lovely to see you in the house. Daniel, you've been posting like a madman. Thank you for sending me stuff. Keep it up. Bull's Nuts, good to have you in. And the lovely Deb. I think my computer is very jumpy, folks, like really jumpy. Hi, Jude. Nice to have you in. Survival Aussie is in the house. If that's the Survival Aussie I know. Down in Victoria, I hope you're doing all right. If you're another Survival Aussie, I probably should know you. $3.10 was crazy. You thought $3.10 was crazy? Oh, mate, we haven't seen the last of it yet. Not by a long time. All right. Way. Wow. There you go. Nullarbor Roadhouse, $3.79 for diesel. I mean, I know you'd kind of expect it to be expensive at the Nullarbor Roadhouse. The family that owns, I think they own all the roadhouses across the Nullarbor now. They have somewhat of a monopoly on the fuel prices out there, but it is difficult. They've got to keep fuel out there, and it's a long way from anywhere out there. All right, I'm going to drop the comments, and this computer, we are going to see how we go tonight, folks. Vince isn't joining us tonight. He's asleep, but even if he did want to join us tonight, I would probably have a problem with this computer keeping him in the chat and keeping you seeing it. I'm looking now, and I'm seeing that my signal is very jumpy. Now this is a very interesting thing. They are paring back now I've just changed over. I'm trying to. Right. Has it caught up yet? Doesn't appear to have. I'll just sit here and wave, and when I see myself waving, we'll know about how far it is behind. It's a bloody long way behind. All right. I'm going to go out of the show for a second, and then bit of trouble recently, and there's no guarantee it'll come back to life. So if it doesn't, I will endeavor to try and you might be seeing this quite clearly, but everything I'm touching is taking a very, very long time to come on the screen, for instance. And I don't have huge amounts of extra windows open, although I do have a couple. So let me close those down and see if it makes it any easier. Now, folks, you may have heard me talk about famous AI just while I'm doing this. I got a hell of a shock today. I went to a bank account and I expected that there would be a certain amount of money in there, not a huge amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. But when I went there, I discovered that there was $300 not in the bank account that I was expecting to be in the account, and I'd missed a couple of payments for things. And I'm thinking, how have I done that? Where have I spent that? Shouldn't have done that. Anyway, I decided I'd look into it a little bit and find out where this money had gone. And it turns out that the company that does the dealing behind the famous AI had billed me a number of times, like a shitload of times, and not just for the $7 that it should have cost me for my membership of it. It started sending me bills for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it wasn't sending me the bill, it was just taking the money. At any rate, this seems to have kind of caught up. But what I'm going to do is go out, talk amongst yourselves for a moment in the chat, and I will come back in and hopefully, actually, let me see if there's anything else I can close down that will. None of these should be too much of a drag on the system, but let's just try and make sure. So now I have two browsers open. What the has sent me a message, I think. I'm hoping. No, not there. He hasn't, at any rate. I haven't heard from What the, of course, was going into hospital today for an operation. Was actually in there last night for the surgery this morning. It was serious surgery. He may have lost a leg out of it. So we'll pray for him and hope that he recovers enough to get on the phone, give us a hoy, and I'll let you know as soon as I know. All right, listen, I'm just going to scoot out the back here for a minute. I'll reboot this computer and hope to God something decent happens. We'll see. All right, boo. Don't know whether or not I'm back or not. Can you actually see and hear me? And yes, I appear to be moving. All weird, strange manner of things. Now I've lost everything that I had set up for you, which is, can I just say, a complete pain in the testicle on the left-hand side. However, it is what it is. We will see what we can do. Right, so you can hear me. Well, a reboot's done something at least. Better than a kick in the teeth. Let me just open up this document that I had going for me. Oh, look at that. And it even opened flat out first up. Woohoo! All right, shall we get into it? Sorry for being a pain in the ass. This the computer, I think she's on her last legs, and about 10 minutes before showtime tonight, I have this thing sat on a computer thing that's got a couple of fans mounted in the bottom of it, and you can put it up on an angle, and I've got a fan at the back blowing air underneath into that cavern underneath the thing. And anyway, both of those fans decided to start going, and no amount of gentle persuasion, just gentle persuasion, yeah, but that they didn't want to stop. So I've got to get a bit of air into them, maybe blow the bearings out in them, because that seemed to be what the issue could well be. Don't know. I'm going to give you two new words tonight. The first one is quokka watcher. Now, quok doesn't want to. So I'm going to show a picture. There you go. Came up quickly. Stop voting quokka watchers into the kakistocracy. What that is a quokka watcher. Well, a quokka watcher, the proper word is actually quokka watcher, because I've spelled it the wrong way. Sometimes misspelled as the way I hadn't spelled it, but there you go. It means a person who is controlled by someone else, a puppet, especially a politician who takes orders rather than acting independently. That is what a quokka watcher is. And until words stopped meaning things, that was used quite a lot, apparently, in America. So stop voting quokka watchers into the kakistocracy. There will be cups. There might be a shirt. I don't know. We've sold a lot of kakistocracy cups. So if you want to do a word cup collection, I think I can help out there. We've got a few going our way. All right. For those of you who are not aware of it, the world is coming to a cataclysmic end because 20% of its oil isn't allowed out through the Straits of Hormuz. Now, that's lies. Absolute lies. Saudi Arabia have opened a pipeline that means the oil that used to come through the Straits of Hormuz, because that's where the ports were at the other end of that Gulf, now doesn't. It goes out through a pipeline they've created through the deserts with an outlet in the Red Sea. Now, yes, it does appear that Iran can now fire ballistic weapons to 4,000 kilometers or so. And I guess they could maybe blow up the port facilities in the Red Sea, but that would be a very, very severe and large elevation against their Arab neighbors. And I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. For Iran's part, they've said straits are open. Now, if you turn your head just to the left slightly and look at that, you'll see there are an awful lot of parked ships there. Now, the headline on this photo was "The Straits are open," but you do not see any one of those ships underway. If you did, you would see a wake behind them. So that US jet or something after it had dropped a whole heap of whatever on it, but I don't know. The Straits of Hormuz is open. They have always been open, apparently. The IRG never closed them. What they did do was basically set up a toll bridge, and we told you about that last night. Tolls can be $2-4 million, can be more, and they have been successfully negotiating with a variety of different shipping companies, and those shipping companies that want to pay it can quite happily go through. The process is documented. So a tanker operator contacts the IRGC linked intermediary, that's a broker, and there are plenty of them out there that will be doing this job as they've done it, their whole lives, because these are the blokes who make sure that everything the ship needs is at port when it pulls up, how to be replenished with food, or if they need to empty sewerage off or whatever. The operator submits the vessel's ownership details, the flag state, the cargo manifest, the destination, who's on board, and the AIS transponder data, so it can be tracked while it's in the Gulf. And then they run around, do some checks, and find out that you're not linked to US. And I've since found out that now US-owned ships can even go into the Gulf, and they are guaranteed by the IRGC not to be attacked. No Israeli cargo, that is being held to at the moment. So anything that's bound for Israel isn't going to be allowed through. And I can't say that I blame them, a great deal for that. They jump on their radios, give everybody the okay, and, everybody wanders through at their own pace. Well, actually, it's not at their own pace. They're given a specific time. They have to be transiting through that particular area. And I guess if they're not through it in time, there's trouble. Lloyd's of London are usually the people who insure these ships, and they have stopped insuring the ships going into the Suez Canal. Nobody can figure out really why, because Iran themselves are saying these ships are not at risk in any way, shape, or form. So now it looks like Lloyd's policies are, instead of reflecting a war risk, which meant that you could pay anywhere from $5 to $100 million for your tanker just to go in and out of the Gulf to pick up one load of oil. And you were going to have to pay between $5 and $100 million every time you sent that back in. So, yeah, it gets a little bit ridiculous. Not everybody gets or has to pay the fee. Obviously, there are certain countries who do deals with Iran, who are friends with Iran. So any Chinese boat, any of the grey Navy fleet, I think as they call them, they're not going to have... try and turn these things off. Turn off. Bloody hell. I'm getting lag again. So none of those sorts of ships are going to be inhibited in any way, shape, or form. They won't have to pay any of these tolls. But there may well be some others. Now, in Australia, the Australian government, God love them, have been doing evil shit again. So I'm going to talk to you about something that you may have heard a little bit about in the last few days. It's not a rumor. It's not a conspiracy. It is not something pulled off the internet and fanned into a bit of a flame. This has come straight from the inside of the Australian government itself. Now, in May of 2025, a quiet modelling exercise took place. It was conducted behind closed doors. It was a war game, a simulation, if you like, a test of one very simple question. What happens if Australia's fuel supply is disrupted? So you might think the answer is pretty obvious, and we're living parts of it now. Fuel runs low, prices go up, people whinge and complain. Absolutely. But that's not all they found. What they also found was something that was far more serious. They found a system, and this is the words that were quoted in the file. They found a system that is fragile. Now, it's fragile because fuel isn't just about your car. Fuel is about every truck on the road. Fuel is about every piece of food in your supermarket. Doesn't matter whether it's fresh fruit, fresh meat, tinned produce, Cotty's cordial. It doesn't matter. Everything in your supermarkets depends on a truck. Every farm harvesting crops, sowing crops, and then getting those crops off to where bread can be made, where the wheat and barley and everything else can be turned into the products that we need every day. Every backup generator in the nation, particularly in hospitals, is dependent on fuel. You'd be glad they were doing an exercise on this, taking down of the fuel system. Well, what this report found was that if you take out the fuel system in Australia, everything else begins to wobble. And this is the bit that gets a little bit uncomfortable. The biggest risk, it's not just running out of petrol, it's what happens before you run out. Now, the modelling that they came up with in May 2025 said that even if fuel exists, there is no clear, fast, centralised way to decide who gets it. So who gets priority? Is it the farmers? Is it the truck drivers? Is it the hospitals? Is it the supermarkets? Is it the emergency services? Well, maybe it should be the mining people, because after all that iron ore and liquid natural gas has got to go out. What about the military? They're going to need it too. If that's the decision, we're going to need it made pretty quickly. The system isn't going to slow down just because we've got no fuel. The system is going to break when there is no fuel. So, what's going to happen? It's started. What happens if we don't get months? You don't get weeks. I mean, you might only get a day, if that. You might get hours notice before your local fuel supplier, your local petrol station, puts up the closed for business sign. We've been told no more fuel until further notice. If that happens at the end of the week where your local servo is expecting a fuel delivery from their distributor, then you'll get no fuel. And they are talking about limiting people. Well, the government is saying, no, we're not talking about limiting people to $40 worth of fuel. No. I've heard it's higher. And I've heard that there will be odd and even days, and then there will be days when no petrol stations will be open at all. So there may only be fuel available 5 days a week, odd and even days of that week. Where that leaves transport and associated other things, I really don't know. But out of this report, which wasn't ever public released, the government didn't want you or me to see it. The only reason that we know anything at all about it is because of some freedom of information requests, some leaked bits and pieces that have come from, I'm assuming, bureaucrats or parliamentarians who found this to be a real problem. So they've figured out that we don't just have a fuel problem, we have a system problem, because one of the biggest problems we are currently having in our system is the distribution of fuel in this country. Now, let me make sure I've got the right thing. Now, this is the Australian Fuel Monitor. This site was put up the other day somewhere or other. I will post the link if you are at all keen. Let me copy it down right now. I'll post this in the link in the comments right now. And the way my computer's acting, it'll probably take a day or three to get posted up there, but there you go. This is a New Zealand site, but it actually watches New Zealand and Australian fuel. Now, our most critical fuel at this point is jet fuel. We have 29 days, 14 hours, 38 minutes, and 50 seconds left of jet fuel. Now, this breaks it down into what's in country. So of the 29 days, we have 21 days in country. Landed and tracked only, 23 days. So we're still short of the 29 days they're announcing, because landed and tracked, so the stuff that's already onshore, and I'll show you here what is being tracked coming here, doesn't add up to 29 days yet so far. Here is the breakdown of which fuels we have and for how long we will have them. 32.6 days of petrol, 23.7 days of diesel, and 21.6 days of jet fuel. Here is the tracker I want to show you. So this is pretty cool. You can click on these and it'll tell you what the cargo is. Oops. And this one has arrived in Sydney. It is petrol. It arrived Yokohama to Melbourne and then up to Sydney. Don't know why it won't stay up, but you get the idea. It's dropping everything, and wonderful, wonderful. These aren't sailing on Australian land. This is just the easiest way for them to say this is what's on the way. So those boats are actually currently around the bottom of Australia. It's expected in Sydney in 1.6 days. This one is expected in 2.6 days. And then there are another 3 on the way, 29.6 days. We're expecting the next one from ExxonMobil. And then diesel. What was on that first one? Petrol. Diesel coming. So we're not expecting diesel again for another 30.6 days. That's jet fuel. That's petrol. That's petrol. That's petrol. That's diesel, 30.6 days. What's behind it? Another diesel at 30.6 days. Petrol. Can I zoom in on that? I can. Diesel. All right, so we're getting 2 lots of diesel. Second lot at 34 days out. What did we see up here before? Let me try and... Our diesel reserve was 23, currently 23.7 days in country. Okay. So we've got to hope that the boats that are bringing the next 2 loads into Sydney at least have a bit more diesel in them, because at the moment they're showing petrol and not so flash. This site, a wealth of information, I have to tell you, folks. You can look at the supply projections, which is another very interesting little way of looking at it. Down here, if there is no intervention, that's what the baseline will give you. Our fuel is depleted in 27 days. If there is a voluntary 10% conservation of our fuels, it's down to 29 days. And if there is government rationing of a quarter of our fuel, down up to 32 days. But if they lock us down, as I fully expect they're going to, there will be 38 days of fuel. This might explain to you, folks, if we go back to the map, look at where these dates are here. April 22, April 23, April 26, May 2nd. These are projected days where all the fuel runs out. Okay? That one's arriving day and a half, so it'll be here. 2.5 days, so it'll be here before the end of this month. 34.6. Ooh, it's going to be tight. Although, don't trust my maths. Anything's possible. I may have got it completely wrong. Wouldn't have been the first time. All right. Now then, I've been scrolling around on there, and that's probably slowed everything down terribly. So my apologies if this is getting to you all chunky. It is a heat issue. Yeah, it's definitely a heat issue with this computer. We are saving up our coins to buy a new computer. This one may well be beyond saving, which is a bit disappointing, if I say so myself. What's the future happening for Australia, given this wonderful government of ours has run this exercise? What this exercise showed is that we are in deepest, darkest shit. They didn't want anybody to know about it, nor did they actually go out and do anything about it. We have, I should probably go back to my script because I'm jumping ahead. But we have a company in Australia called Viva, which is one of the big four fuel distributors in Australia. And those distributors have been sent a letter. I'm sure it's a very serious letter from Albo and associated others. And then, of course, there will be the letter that they've received from the ACCC, which, God help us, could be, well, it could be very, very severe. They could feel the lettuce leaf burn really hard. So the ACCC have launched an urgent enforcement investigation. The complaint has been, or a complaint, over 700 now complaints have been sent to the ACCC during the worst fuel crisis in decades. These fuel suppliers are cutting off diesel. So those fuel suppliers being the big four, Ampol, ExxonMobil, BP, and this Viva mob. Now, Viva own the Geelong refinery. That's one of two still operating in the country. So the issue right now is not so much that the fuel companies don't have supply. They do. What they're doing is they're making sure that their branded servos get fuel before any of the independents do. Now, that's well and good, except all the big fours for a long time have been selling off their regional and country town infrastructure to independent fuel dealers. They still supply them. That's the contract. You know, used to be a BP servo. Now it's an IPS or whatever it is. They still get BP fuel. They get to buy it at a good rate. But BP have stopped servicing. Well, all of them have slowed their servicing to regional areas because they don't want capital city areas to run out or major regional centres to run out. This is bullshit. The excuses that they're putting forward are absolute bullshit. We've got, I think it's upwards of 200 now servos looking for fuel in Sydney. I don't know how many along the Gold Coast or Brisbane, to be honest. But unless people are being completely moronic and going out and filling up multiple jerry cans, piling them all in the back of your car for the drive home, brave and stupid. There shouldn't be any call for this. There is no urgency. We don't even get our oil from the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal. Well, we don't get it from there. We don't get it from the Straits of Hormuz. And I can confidently say we don't get it because we don't own a boat that could carry it if we did. Now, we get our fuel from South Korea. We get our fuel from Singapore predominantly. We get a bit from Malaysia and a bit from Thailand. Malaysia and Thailand turned 4 boats back, 2 each, the other day. Singapore turned 2 of theirs back as well. Australia has now negotiated a deal with Singapore that they won't be turning their boats around again. And if they do, then the Australian government will be notified of it before the rest of the world finds out. Big help that will be. You can find out what the deficit is on that website. I won't bring it up again because it's making the whole thing far too jerky. I'll pull that out of there, in fact. But go and have a look. That website that I posted, and I will post it in the chat one more time again now, is a wealth of information on the current state of Australia and New Zealand when it comes to fuel. Yes, Scotty, I got my CB on as well here in the bus. I'm able to hear a lot of trucks, not too far from a very, very busy truck thoroughfare. And yeah, none of them are saying anything good. Owner drivers are, I think, the most worried I've ever heard them. There was a gentleman on there today, I've got to say, he's the closest to tears I've heard yet, but he was not sure whether he was going to have the truck on the road on Monday, because he can't guarantee that the job he accepts today has got enough money in it for him to get the fuel he needs on Monday to do the job. So, or to get home from the job, which is the other aspect. Sometimes it's not so much a matter of, do you want to do the job? And yes, we can get plenty of fuel in Brisbane, but what if it's going out west to Quilpie or somewhere like that, out of Adelaide to Pinaroo, or Melbourne to Pinaroo, where we saw Pete's prices yesterday. I forgot to mention at the time the servo had no fuel. They ran out of fuel at 4 o'clock yesterday, Arvo. They were expecting a delivery, but when was still a question mark. So the Australian government has been responsible for a great many engineered disasters. And the more I look at this, the more I smell COVID, the more I smell engineering. They practiced what would happen. They're using their playbook, which from the Freedom of Information requests that I've seen at least, looks exactly the same as what they did in 2020. And this time around, they're expecting a well-jabbed and brainwashed population to just follow along suit. Maybe the pushing back against the fuel shows they're not, but at the moment it just shows greed and I think in a lot of cases stupidity. We can't blame it all on Labor though, because the Liberal Party had a fair bit to do with this as well. What I would have done is have a three-headed snake and stick the Greens in there, because the Greens have done this to Australia with Labor. And whatever pictures they have of the Labor leadership molesting whatever they're molesting, be it from small children to small furry animals, it's got to be some pretty heavy stuff, because the Greens have had far too much sway in this country for far too long. And it is because of them that we don't have our own refineries anymore. The two that have survived have survived by the skin of their teeth. And now they're getting into some profitability, which I can only believe is why the government has engineered this crisis. They have. You remember the Australian government has no money at all. We are calling for an end to immigration, or mass immigration, which is netting them billions of dollars, right? Billions of dollars coming in from overseas, and we're calling for them to stop it. I have no doubt, given the rise of One Nation, that they want to stop it. All right? They want to slow it down because they know the people are watching them. They know if they don't do something about it, either party, the morons in red or the dickheads in blue, they know they're going to lose. Pauline Hanson and One Nation are the party leading that tidal wave of support, and the major parties are left behind looking like second-class losers. What are they going to do about it? Well, they're going to keep hiking up the fuel prices, keep hyping up this war, keep hyping up our lack of demand or our lack of supply. Notice they're not saying supply. Supply is not a problem. It's distribution that's the problem. So it's what's happening in this country that's the problem. It's not getting it to the country so much. And I see Japan have come in. They might send us a boat in the next week or so that could get here a bit sooner maybe and fill that gap. But it's not so much about the supply. It's about the $300 million in fuel tax they're raking in every week. And it grows by the day. Somebody in the chat was mentioning earlier about how the fuel's gone up every day, 10, 12, 15 cents, whatever it's gone up. Bear in mind, 51.9 cents, or is it 52.6 cents of every litre of fuel goes straight to the government. So they need cash. They've got to have cash. And if they're going to stop mass immigration, stop all these student visas and all the plastic pretend money changing hands behind the scenes, then they need another revenue source, or at least a bank to get them out of the shit for a while. And that's why you haven't seen any reduction in fuel excise for diesel, for truck operators, for industry, or anybody else. What you've seen is Chris Bowen saying, nothing to see here, nothing to see here at all. All I can say is Pauline Hanson and her crew are giving everybody a lot to see. They are standing up. Whether or not they'd be any different if they were in power, not for me to say, but they are standing up and have been recognised as such. You might remember last night we said they've been recognised as a party. Well, they have been granted minor party status. That is because Barnaby is in the lower house and they have 3 people in the upper house. That's as much as the Greens. They're as strong a party as the Greens, but it actually means something a little bit more, or a seat at the table. Well, I think they're getting that simply because of their numbers anyway. But right now, One Nation had a number of staff taken from them. I don't know the exact number, but a number of staff were ripped from them only a few weeks ago. They don't have offices, as you would expect the Liberal Party or the Labor Party, or indeed the Greens, who have been a known minor party for some time. They've got, areas they can go and places they can use, but they don't have a formal party room or that kind of thing. Well, all that changed when Barnaby came across. It's now been, it had nothing to do with South Australia and what's going on there. It all to do with Barnaby and the number of members that they have in the upper house. So, yes, she did pick up $100,000 pay rise because she's now the leader of a recognised minor party, but that would have happened to anybody. I guess she's been paid now as much as the Greens. I wonder if she'll be allowed to be able to fight on a fair playing field. Bastards. This is a picture of a leg of lamb. Now, if you look very closely, you'll see that leg of lamb is a product of New Zealand, not Australia. And the price of that lamb is $93. How much of the lamb is wrapped up in that lamb? That is a leg of lamb. Not even a big leg of lamb, just a leg. $93. Now, I don't know if that's $93 New Zealand or $93 Australian, but the guy who posted it said, we get $170 for the whole animal. How can you sell a leg for $93 and you've got 2 of those and everything else that you sell? And how can you say that you're helping the farmers with prices like that? That's another indication of how big supermarkets have been ripping us off and will continue to do so. I urge you, if you don't already have a local fruit supplier or provider, go and find one. You want to make friends with your local baker, because you're going to need bread, and it's better to be on first term basis than nodding basis, if you know what I mean. I find what we are about to go through, folks, a wonderful opportunity, and I hope to talk more about this next week. This is a wonderful community building exercise, because we are all going to have to lean on each other in various different ways to get through this, what I believe will be a lockdown coming our way, a lockdown engineered by the Australian government. Although how it's going to get fuel excise out of us if we're not on the roads using our cars, but they're getting 300 million a week at the moment. Maybe they'll just let us around long enough until they got enough money into the bank and then lock us down. I've heard of weirder, stranger things. Indeed, I have. All right, beautiful, wonderful people. I'm going to love you and leave you for a Friday night. I've had these computer issues, and I expect the old girl's going to blow up on any minute. Bit Mission Impossible, like, if you choose to accept it, and if you don't, it's just going to burst into a big bit of smoke. So I do hope you have a wonderful weekend. Go forth, do all those wonderful... Oh, I was going to share another word with you before I left. So here is the word. a snollygoster. We don't want any snollygosters voted in the cacistocracy either. And I think we have a cacistocracy full of snollygosters. What is a snollygoster? I hear you say. It's a wonderfully sharp old political insult. It means a person, especially a politician, who is driven by self-interest rather than principles. Someone who will say or do anything to gain power, regardless of honesty or integrity. I think that is a word to remember. Snollygosters. Yeah, how many of those do you reckon we got in Canberra? I'm not saying everyone, but I reckon there's a few in there. And we will have cups associated with it. I think eventually I'd like to have a 6-pack of cups we could offer that have 6 new words you could learn and use around the office to, I don't know, raise the IQ level. Have a great weekend. Stay off the roads. The dickheads will be out in earnest. It's a nice sunny one in Queensland, where you are.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!